Hello and welcome, my dear friend. If you're here, it's not by accident. Something bigger is guiding you to these words, and deep down, you know it. We've all been there. Standing at the edge of a dream, hands open, heart ready, begging for that one thing we believe will complete us. Maybe it's a career, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's an opportunity so perfect that the very thought of losing it feels unbearable. And yet, sometimes, despite our deepest prayers, despite the fire in our bones, the answer comes back as a quiet, unshakable no. And when that happens, when the door stays locked, when the opportunity slips away, when the thing we wanted most is placed out of reach, we find ourselves asking, why? Why would God, who knows the desires of our heart, hold something back from us? Why would He let us taste a dream, feel it, get so close to it, and then take it away? Here's what most people never realize until it's too late. God's no is never rejection. It is protection. It is redirection. It is a setup for something greater. But in the moment, it never feels that way. It feels unfair. It feels like punishment. It feels like we are standing outside of our own destiny, watching someone else live the life we were meant for. Think about it. How many times have you looked back on your life and realized that what you once called a heartbreak was actually your greatest rescue? That the job you didn't get, the person who walked away, the situation that didn't unfold as you planned, was actually a blessing in disguise. We don't see it in the moment. We live inside the moment. But God sees beyond it. He sees the roads we do not. He sees the harm we were never meant to encounter, the weight we were never meant to carry, the distractions disguised as dreams. So He says no, not because we aren't worthy, not because we don't deserve happiness, but because what we're asking for isn't big enough. Let that sink in. We cry over closed doors, not realizing that we were asking for a life too small, a love too shallow, a dream too ordinary. We wanted what we could see, but God is working in the unseen. And when He says no, it is because He is making room for a yes that will shake the very foundation of your soul. But here's the real question. Can you trust Him in the waiting? Because that is where most people lose their way. When the door stays shut, when the silence feels deafening, when it seems like the world is moving forward and you are stuck in place, that is when the doubt creeps in. That is when the enemy whispers, maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe you weren't meant for more. Lies. You were never stuck. You were being positioned. You weren't abandoned. You were being prepared. Because when the right thing comes, when the right door opens, when the right opportunity arrives, when the right love steps into your life, it will come so effortlessly that you will wonder why you ever wasted tears on what was never meant to be yours. And that's the moment you will realize every no was leading you here. Every delay was divine. Every detour was by design. God's plan is not just good, it is flawless. But let's talk about what that waiting period feels like, because waiting is not passive. It is not easy. It is not a simple sit back and trust moment. It is hard. It is the restless nights, the silent prayers, the moments where you question whether you even heard God right in the first place. Did I misinterpret the signs? Did I pray wrong? Did I miss my chance? And the hardest part? Watching someone else receive the very thing you were asking for. Seeing someone else's breakthrough when you're still in the waiting room of your own life. Watching others walk through open doors while yours remain stubbornly closed. That's when the doubt screams the loudest. That's when you start to wonder, what about me? When is it my turn? But listen closely. God is never late. Never. You see, God is not just answering your prayers, He is preparing you for them. And sometimes that preparation looks like waiting. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like disappointment. But it is always intentional, because if He gave us the blessing too soon, we wouldn't be able to carry it. If He opened the door before we were ready, we wouldn't be able to walk through it with confidence. If He handed us the life we're praying for right now, before we've grown into the people who can handle it, we would lose it. So He says, wait. He says, not yet. He says, trust me. And the waiting isn't about proving yourself to Him. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. So let me ask you this. What if the thing you're crying over today is the very thing that would have destroyed you if it had gone your way? What if that relationship you begged to last would have drained you of your worth? What if that job you wanted so badly would have buried your true calling? What if that dream you thought was everything was only a fraction of what God had planned for you? Would you still fight for it? Would you still question the closed door? Or would you finally take a deep breath and say, I trust you, even when I don't understand? Because that is the real test. That is where faith is proven. Not when everything is falling into place, but when nothing makes sense and you still choose to believe. Because faith is not about trusting God when He says yes. It's also about trusting Him when He says no. It's about standing in front of the wreckage of your plans and saying, even here, I know I am being guided. It's about looking at the doors that slammed shut and saying, even now, I know something better is on the way. Because when you truly trust God, you stop chasing what's leaving. You stop trying to force what isn't meant to stay. You stop pleading for something that was only supposed to be temporary. You don't have to beg for what's meant for you. And when you live like that, when you surrender your timeline, your expectations, your need for control, that is when you finally step into the kind of peace that no disappointment can shake. Because the truth is, no loss is ever really a loss when God is involved. What you think is rejection is actually protection. What you think is a delay is actually divine alignment. What you think is an ending is actually the beginning of something unimaginable. But here's the part people rarely talk about: the messy middle. The space between the closed door and the next open one. The wilderness. The part of the journey where the old thing is gone, but the new thing hasn't arrived yet. That is where most people give up. Because uncertainty is uncomfortable. When you don't know what's next, when you don't have all the answers, when you're walking in faith but the road ahead looks foggy, it's tempting to settle for whatever is closest. It's tempting to run back to what's familiar instead of waiting for what's right. But let me tell you something. The waiting season is not a wasted season. God is not punishing you by making you wait. He is preparing you, strengthening you, stretching you. And if you try to rush the process, you will only end up delaying the promise. Have you ever seen fruit picked before its time? It looks the same. It may even have the right shape, the right color, but bite into it too soon and it's bitter. It's not ready. Neither are you. Because you are growing into someone who will not just step into a blessing, but be able to keep it, handle it, steward it well. And the people who walk in their purpose with confidence, the ones who carry themselves with peace, even when life doesn't go their way, they aren't the ones who got everything they ever wanted. They are the ones who learned how to trust when God said no. They are the ones who didn't quit when the doors closed. They are the ones who surrendered the plan they thought they wanted for the purpose they were truly meant for. And one day, you will too. One day, you will look back on every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you questioned whether God had forgotten you, and you will whisper to yourself, "Now I understand." You will see why that relationship didn't work out, why that opportunity passed you by. You will see why God had to say no, because the life He was shaping for you was so much bigger than the one you were asking for. But for now, in this moment, I need you to hold on. I need you to believe that delays are not denials, that just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean it never will. You are not being left behind. You are being set apart. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. And when your season comes, when the door opens and you step into everything you were meant for, you will not have to force it. You will not have to fight for it. It will feel like home. And you will know without a doubt that every no was leading you right here. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this making room for?" Instead of crying over what didn't happen, start preparing for what's coming next. So hold on, my friend. Keep trusting, keep believing, because the day is coming when you will look back and thank God for every time He said no. And before you go, take a moment to comment 111 if you trust that something greater is coming. Let's claim it together. You were never being denied. You were being redirected. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.